My brothers literally laughed at me when our father's will was read. They inherited his $22 million tech company while I received his old laptop, the perfect prize for the family disappointment. Rodri smirked, adjusting his Italian suit as if he was already CEO, but when I tried selling that worthless laptop for rent money, the buyer's hands began to tremble. "This isn't just a laptop," he whispered, eyes wide with a mix of fear and excitement. "This is evidence that could ruin everything. My name is Dexter Harmon. 3 months ago, I thought I understood exactly where I stood in my family. Dead last. The failure. The son who chose flipping burgers over building empires. While my older brothers Roderick and Sterling were conquering Wall Street, I was perfectly happy managing a small Italian restaurant, making people smile one plate of pasta at a time. The morning of the will reading started with Roderick texting me, "Try not to embarrass yourself today." Sterling followed with, "Wear something decent for once." They'd always been a team. Roderick, 35, Harvard MBA, perfect hairline, running Dad's East Coast operations. Sterling, 32, Yale educated, ruthless, handling the West Coast division. And then there was me, 28, community college dropout, 2 thrift store suits to my name. The lawyer's office smelled of leather and old money. My brothers sat beside our father's attorney, Mr. Wheatmore, like kings dividing their empire. I chose the farthest chair, the one with the squeaky, uneven leg, fitting somehow. "Before we begin," Mr. Whitmore said, carefully cleaning his glasses, "your father left a personal note." Rodri leaned forward, calculating his share. Sterling glanced at his phone, probably alerting his broker. I sat wondering if Dad even remembered me. "To my sons," Whitmore read, "I leave what each has earned." That should have been our first warning. Dad never spoke in riddles. He built Datavault Industries by saying exactly what he meant. But my brothers were too busy mentally spending their millions to notice. "To Roderick Vernon Harmon and Sterling Pierce Harmon," Whitmore continued, "I leave equal shares of Datavault Industries, including all holdings, patents, and liquid assets, currently valued at $22 million. They high-fived right there in the lawyer's office, like they'd just won a championship. "To Dexter Coleman Harmon," Whitmore said. And I sat up straighter. "I leave my personal ThinkPad laptop, Model T480, serial number VH1851. May it serve him better than his choices have." The silence was deafening. Then Sterling burst out laughing. Not a chuckle, but full, echoing laughter. "He left you his laptop. His actual laptop. What are you supposed to do, update your resume?" Roderick stayed composed, but still sneered. "I guess Dad wanted you to learn the value of hard work. Maybe you can Google it." Mr. Whitmore slid a manila envelope to me. Inside was a sticky note in Dad's handwriting, for the one who sees beyond numbers. Beneath it was the laptop wrapped in Dad's old fleece jacket. "Gentlemen," Whitmore said, clearly uneasy, "there are additional documents regarding the company transition." "Send them to our lawyers," Roderick replied, buttoning his jacket. "We've got a company to run." They left without a word to me. I sat holding a 9-year-old laptop while they claimed their empire. The humiliation wasn't the worst part. The worst part was knowing Mom wasn't there to see it. She'd have been the only one on my side. Mom divorced Dad when I was 10, saying he'd become someone she didn't recognize. The court battle was vicious. Dad painted her as unstable, a woman chasing wild conspiracies about his business. The judge believed him. She got a modest settlement and a gag order, freedom but no credibility. And when I chose to live with her, I lost my father and brothers in one decision. The laptop sat in my apartment for 2 weeks before the eviction notice arrived. That's when everything changed. That's when I decided to sell the one thing my father thought I deserved, never knowing it contained evidence powerful enough to destroy the empire my brothers believed they'd inherited. The restaurant where I'd spent 5 years was called Nona's Table. Not fancy, just a corner spot in downtown Portland with checkered tablecloths and the best carbonara on the West Coast. Mr. Dede had hired me as a waiter, but promoted me to manager in 6 months after seeing how I treated customers like family. I loved everything about that place. The smell of garlic and basil, The regulars who trusted me to remember their allergies and anniversaries. The way Mr. Benedetti sang opera while kneading dough. My father never understood it. On rare phone calls, he'd always ask, "When will you get a real job?" Running a restaurant was beneath a Harmon man. We were supposed to be titans of industry, not servers, but I'd watched what being a titan did to him, how he turned from the dad who taught me to ride a bike into someone who measured love in stock options. The day after the will reading, I returned to my tiny apartment above a dry cleaner, the air always heavy with chemicals. The laptop sat on my counter next to overdue bills. I'd tried opening it once, but it was password protected. The hint read, "The day everything changed." I tried Dad's birthday, the company's founding date, even the day he made his first million. Nothing worked. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. "How did it go, sweetheart?" About as expected. I typed back. "RNS got everything. I got Dad's old laptop." She called immediately. "Oh, Dexter, I'm so sorry." "It's fine, Mom. We both knew this would happen." "It's not fine. You're his son too. You deserved better." Francine Harmon was the strongest woman I knew, but I could hear the pain in her voice. She blamed herself for my estrangement from Dad. What she didn't understand was that Vernon Harmon stopped being my father long before she left him. "How's the restaurant?" she asked, trying to change the subject. I glanced at the eviction notice. Closed. Mr. Benedetti couldn't survive the pandemic. Too much debt, too many empty months.
Why didn't you tell me?
What would you have done? You're living on Social Security and Dad's settlement. I'm not taking your money. You're as stubborn as your father. Please don't say that. She sighed. I mean the good version of him, the man I married before Data Vault and before the money changed him. We talked for an hour about safe things. Her garden, the mystery novel she was reading, her neighbor's cat stealing her newspaper. Neither of us mentioned my rent, due in 5 days, or the $47 in my checking account. After we hung up, I opened my laptop and scrolled through job postings. Manager positions in Portland, paid okay but all wanted recent references. Mr. Benedetti had gone back to Italy to care for his mother. My old food truck job was long gone. My resume looked like a graveyard of failed ventures. That's when I noticed Dad's laptop again. Even old, it might fetch something from a collector. ThinkPads had a following, especially older models, maybe $300, even $500 from the right buyer, enough to hold off the landlord for another month. I took photos from every angle, noting the model number. Despite being 9 years old, it looked almost new. Dad was meticulous, even his trash looked valuable. I posted the listing on 3 sites. Vintage ThinkPad T480. Excellent condition. Works perfectly. $300 OBO. Must sell quickly. Within 10 minutes, I had 5 responses. One offered $200. Another wanted more photos. A third asked about shipping to Canada. A fourth was spam. But the fifth made me pause. "I'll give you $500 cash today. No questions asked. My name is Milo Thatcher, and I believe that laptop belonged to Vernon Harmon. If you're his son, we need to talk." I met Milo at a coffee shop called The Daily Grind, chosen for its crowds and multiple exits. Maybe I was paranoid, but his message set off every alarm bell in my head. $500 for a 9-year-old laptop wasn't normal. Neither was knowing it belonged to my father. Milo wasn't what I expected. Thin to the point of gaunt, mid-40s, nervous hands adjusting wire-rimmed glasses, wrinkled button-down shirt, faded khakis. When I walked in carrying the laptop bag, his eyes locked onto it like a hawk. "Dexter Harmon?" he asked, half standing. "That's me. You're Milo?" He nodded, motioning for me to sit. His coffee cup was empty, but he kept lifting it anyway, a nervous habit that made me uneasy. "You look like your father," he said. "Same jawline, same eyes. Thanks for the reminder. You said 500. He pulled out an envelope but kept his hand on it. "First, I need to verify something. Can you open the laptop? It's password protected. I was planning to wipe it before selling." "Don't do that." His voice was sharp. "What's the password hint?" The day everything changed. I'd tried everything. Milo typed quickly. The screen unlocked. How did you know the password? October 15th, 2019, he said quietly. The day your mother filed for divorce. My stomach dropped. Who are you? Someone who's been tracking your father's activities for 7 years. He turned the screen toward me. Look at this. A folder labeled Project Phoenix filled the desktop. Inside were subfolders with names that made my blood run cold. Offshore accounts, congressional bribes, falsified FDA data, deleted safety reports, witness elimination protocols. Your father's company isn't just worth $22 million, Milo whispered. These files show he was hiding another $45 million in illegal accounts across 12 countries. But the money is nothing compared to what else is here. My phone buzzed. Rodri calling. I declined. It rang again, then Sterling, then both. They know, Milo said. The laptop must have connected to Wi-Fi. Someone at Data Vault realized it's active and what it contains. Your brothers aren't calling to chat. I answered on the 10th ring. What do you want, Rodri? Dex, buddy. Where are you right now? Since when do you call me buddy? Look, we've been talking, Sterling and I. We realized Dad made a mistake. You should have gotten a share of the company. We want to make it right. Really? My voice was flat. Sterling cut in. We're prepared to offer you $2 million, Dexter. Cash. All we need is for you to bring Dad's laptop to the office. It has proprietary software that belongs to Data Vault, the worthless old computer you laughed at. We weren't laughing at the laptop, Rodri said quickly. We were just surprised. That laptop has sensitive client data. It's a security risk. We need it back. I'll think about it. There's nothing to think about. Sterling's voice sharpened. That laptop is company property. If you don't return it, we'll involve our lawyers. I hung up. Milo was already packing his things. You need to understand something, he said, pulling a folder from his bag. I'm not interested in buying a laptop. I'm an investigative journalist with the Washington Post. Your father's company makes security software for medical devices. According to these files, they discovered fatal flaws in their pacemaker encryption 3 years ago. Instead of issuing a recall, they covered it up. He spread photos across the table. 17 faces stared back at me. Men, women, even 2 teenagers. These people died when hackers exploited the vulnerability your father knew about. Their pacemakers were remotely accessed and shut down. Your brothers signed off on the cover-up to protect the company's IPO. My hands shook. You're telling me my father killed these people? Your brother's signatures are on every document approving the cover-up. But there's more. He pulled out another photo, my mother taken recently. Your mom didn't just leave your father because he changed. She found out about Project Phoenix. She tried to expose him. These files show he destroyed her credibility, had her followed, hacked her emails, and threatened her if she ever went public. I stared at the 17 dead faces while my phone buzzed relentlessly. Each had a name and story. Marcus Chen, 42, software engineer with 3 kids. Dorothy Palmer, 67, grandmother who volunteered at the library. Tyler Morrison, 16, high school swimmer. All dead because my father chose profit over people. I need to call my mother, I said hollowly. She already knows I'm here, Milo replied. I contacted her last week when I traced the laptop to you. She's been waiting for this moment for years. I dialed her with trembling fingers. She answered before the first ring finished. Dexter, whatever they're offering you, don't take it. Mom, these files show Dad was responsible for 17 deaths. 23, she corrected softly. 6 more died after Milo's initial research. I tried to stop your father, baby. I found the first evidence 5 years ago. When I confronted him, he laughed. He said I didn't understand business. When I threatened to go to the FBI, everything shifted. The divorce had been his idea. He'd manufactured proof of my instability, paid therapists to label me paranoid, even forged medical records. The choice was simple: leave quietly with a small settlement and a gag order, or he'd have me committed. He had 3 psychiatrists ready to swear I was a danger to myself and others. My phone lit with 37 missed calls from my brothers. "Why didn't you tell me?" Mom asked. "With what proof? He'd destroyed everything I owned." But she reminded me, "Your father documented everything. It was his insurance policy. I just never knew where he kept it. Apparently, he kept it safe enough to give to me. Maybe he felt guilty at the end. Maybe he wanted his real legacy to die with him." Milo leaned forward. "We can stop them, Dexter. The FBI will take this seriously. But once your brothers know what's on that laptop, they'll wipe any trace at the company. We need to move fast." I thought of those faces, the victims and my mother smeared as crazy for trying to expose the truth, and of brothers who'd stepped over bodies to protect their fortune. "They want me to bring the laptop to the office," I said. "That's perfect," Milo replied, eyes flashing. "We can use that. You want me to walk into their trap?" "No, I want them to walk into ours. I've been building this case for years, but I needed that laptop to prove it. Your brothers just handed us the chance to get them on record." I called Rodri back. He picked up immediately. "Finally. Dex, where are you?" he said. "I've been thinking about your offer," Rodri continued. "And 2 million seems low if you're that desperate." "How much do you want?" Sterling asked. 5 million cash tonight," I said. "Done," Rodri said without hesitation. That's when I realized how dangerous those files must be. "Come to the office at 8, the building will be empty. Just us." After I hung up, Milo made his own call. "Agent Rivera, it's Thatcher. We have them tonight at 8. Datavault headquarters." He listened. Yes, he's agreed to wear a wire. He hung up. The FBI had been chasing Datavault for 2 years, but couldn't get inside. My brothers had just invited us in. "You want me to wear a wire to meet them?" I asked. "I want you to get justice for 23 people who can't speak for themselves," Milo said. I looked again at the photos. Tyler Morrison would have been 19, probably in college. Dorothy Palmer might have met a new grandchild. Marcus Chen's children would still have their father, Milo added, quietly. "There's something else in these files. Your father's death wasn't natural." "What?" 3 days before he died, your brothers changed his heart medication. The new prescription had a fatal interaction with his other meds. Whether they knew that or not, I can't say, but their signatures are on the override. The coffee shop felt too small. My brothers might have killed our father. The man who gave them everything may have died by their hands. "I need air," I said. "Dexter, I know this is a lot," Milo said, "but you can do the right thing." I thought about the life I had at Nona's table. The honest work, Mr. Benedetti, singing while he kneaded dough. That was the life I chose, far from my family's poison. But the poison found me. "Okay," I told Milo. "I'll do it." Datavault Industries occupied a gleaming 20-story tower downtown. Glass, steel, ambition. I stood in the empty lobby at 8, laptop bag heavy on my shoulder. The FBI wire taped to my chest and prickling like it might burn through my shirt. Agent Rivera had coached me for 2 hours on what to say, what to ask, how to push them into incriminating themselves. Preparation didn't calm my pounding heart. The elevator felt endless. When the doors opened, Roderick sat behind Dad's big mahogany desk as if he'd been born for it. Sterling paced by the floor-to-ceiling windows. "There he is," Rodri said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Our baby brother, finally coming to his senses. Let's just get this done," I said, and walked into the executive conference room. Sterling followed and closed the door. "First the laptop, then the money." Rodri laughed. "You really have been living in another world. You think we carry 5 million in cash? No, you have a problem." Sterling's friendly mask dropped. "That laptop contains company property, intellectual property, that belongs to Datavault. Give it to us and take your money, or we'll have you arrested for theft." I set the laptop bag on the table. "Before we do this, I want to know something. Did you know about the pacemaker flaw?" Both brothers froze. "What pacemaker flaw?" Roderick asked carefully. "The one that killed 17 people. Or should I say 23. Sterling stepped closer. "Where did you hear that? Does it matter?" I'm curious if you knew people would die when you signed off on the cover-up. Business requires tough decisions, Roderick said. A recall would have ruined the company. Thousands of jobs, pension funds, sometimes the needs of the many outweigh the few. So you did know, I said. We knew there was a theoretical vulnerability, Sterling admitted. The chance of exploitation was minimal. Tell that to Tyler Morrison's parents, he was 16. How do you know that name? Roderick snapped. I pulled the laptop out and opened it. Because it's all here. I connected it to the conference room screen. Dad had kept meticulous records. The first document flashed up. Termination order. Francine Harmon. Permanent solution. Sterling went pale. What is that? It's a contract. Authorization for your father to have my mother killed if she went public about Project Phoenix. Look at the signatures. Both brothers moved closer. There they were. R.V. Harmon, S.P. Harmon. We never signed this, Rodri protested. We sign hundreds of documents. Someone must have slipped this in. Is that an admission you signed documents without reading them? Documents that might order someone's death? I asked, and clicked to the next file, request for prescription change. Vernon Harmon. 3 days before Dad died, you both authorized a fatal medication switch. We were trying to help him, Sterling said desperately. His doctor recommended the change. Which doctor? I asked. Because according to this, you overrode Dr. Mitchell's explicit warnings about interactions. The conference room door burst open. Nobody move. FBI agents flooded in, weapons drawn. Agent Rivera entered with badge up. Roderick Harmon, Sterling Harmon. You are under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, and violations of federal medical device regulations. You set us up, Roderick snarled as they cuffed him. Your own brothers? No, I said, opening another file. Dad set you up. A video played. Our father's face, recorded 3 days before he died. Tired, older, but lucid. If you're watching this, Dexter, then you found the courage I never did. I need to tell you the truth. Your brothers are not my biological sons. I discovered this 5 years ago through a routine medical test. They are the product of your mother's relationship before we married. She never knew I knew. Sterling's legs gave out. Agents steadied him. Dad continued. He'd kept the secret because he'd already named them his successors. But when he learned what they'd done, the people they'd killed to protect the company, he decided to stop them. He couldn't face the consequences, but he trusted me. You were always the best of us, Dexter. The only real Harmon. The only one who chose integrity over income. The screen went dark. Sterling sobbed. The laptop was never the inheritance. I told my brothers as they were let out. It was the evidence. Dad made sure his real son would get it. The trial dominated headlines for 8 months. Tech dynasty falls. Harmon brothers sentenced to 15 years. Every major outlet covered the story. While Roderick and Sterling served time, I kept away from cameras. I learned to breathe again in my mother's kitchen. The FBI seized DataVault. The company was liquidated and assets distributed to the families of the 23 victims. Each family received roughly $2 million, money that wouldn't bring back their loved ones, but would secure futures. I kept exactly $0 from the settlement. When the federal prosecutor asked why I refused my whistleblower share, I told him the truth, that money had blood on it. I couldn't build a life from that. Mom and I grew closer. Every Sunday she made pot roast with those little potatoes I loved. We spoke about everything except the trial. She was finally free of the secret that nearly destroyed her and free from the fear that Vernon Harmon's reach extended beyond death. Vindicated, she felt no triumph, only relief. Milo Thatcher won a Pulitzer for his expose on DataVault Industries. He offered to share credit. I declined. He'd spent 7 years investigating. All I had done was inherit the evidence. He sent a signed copy of his book with an inscription, "To the only honest Harmon." The strangest part was learning to live without the weight of the family name. In Portland, people knew me as the Harmon who brought down DataVault. Some called me a hero, others a traitor. I didn't feel either. 6 months after the trial, I took out a small loan from a credit union that actually read business plans instead of judging names. I opened a restaurant, nothing fancy, a corner spot in Southeast Portland, with mismatched chairs and hand-painted signs. I called it Truth and Table. On opening night, Mr. Benedetti flew in from Italy, blessed the kitchen, sang an aria that made half the room cry and told me he was proud. Mom worked the register, charming customers with recipes from her grandmother. Agent Rivera even stopped by for carbonara and left a generous tip. The laptop sits in my office safe, permanently disabled but not destroyed. Sometimes I look at it and think about how something so small carried enough truth to topple an empire. Dad had given Rodri and Sterling $22 million. He gave me something more valuable, a chance to choose who I wanted to be. I hired 2 family members of victims at the restaurant. Marcus Chen's daughter is our sous chef, blending Korean fusion into dishes that have people lining up around the block. Tyler Morrison's mother manages our books. The steady arithmetic of honest work gives her peace. Last week, a young man left a receipt with a note. My grandmother was Dorothy Palmer. Thank you for giving her story a voice. Inheritance isn't money or property, or even blood. Real inheritance is the choices we make when tested. My brothers inherited millions and lost their souls. They sit in federal prison, writing appeals that won't be granted, insisting they only protected shareholder value. I inherited an old laptop and found my purpose. Every meal at Truth and Table is honest. Every employee is paid fairly. Every customer is treated like family. It's not an empire, but it's mine. Built on something stronger than lies and richer than blood money. Sometimes the smallest gifts carry the heaviest truths. Sometimes the best revenge on a corrupt legacy is simply living honestly. If this story moved you, if you believe truth matters more than wealth, please like and share this video. Comment with a time you chose integrity over gain, even at a cost. And subscribe for more stories about ordinary people facing extraordinary choices. Remember, your true inheritance isn't what you're given, it's who you choose to be.